In this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 steps that you need to start your first side hustle in Singapore. One of the most popular things I see on YouTube nowadays are all these side hustle videos. Most of the videos just talk about what side hustles to do, but none of them really went into the fine details of starting them out. So I figured I would give my own spin on it since 7 months ago, I started my very own side hustle online, which is to sell customized G-Shock watches in Singapore. And now I earn anywhere between 150 to 300 bucks a month doing it. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to start your own side hustle and be able to earn some money for yourself every single month. So let's get into the video. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the side hustle magic. So what this magic is to find out exactly what you want to do for your side hustle in that sense. A lot of people are already talking about all these things on YouTube. So YouTube and social media is a very, very good resource where there are tons of videos out there on, what side hustles to do. A lot of people are talking about YouTube, affiliate marketing, what other things, social media marketing, video editing, graphics design, so many of these things. You basically want to research online and see what that you can find. And there are so many things to choose from. Sometimes you get a little bit of analysis paralysis. The way I would approach it is that find those YouTubers that you really like. I personally enjoy Ali Abdaal, Gary V, Alex Hormozi. So I would take advice from these people because I like these people as YouTubers. So the things that they say are more likely to resonate with me. So I would think that you guys should be going in that direction as well. I would advise against that towards that direction in that sense. I think it's also very, very important to know why you wanted to have a side hustle, because honestly, everybody just wants to earn money, don't we, right? So putting that out of the way, everybody wants to do a side hustle to earn money. So that's true. The other thing is that you're going to be learning a very valuable skill while earning money. You'll probably be able to monetize this skill a lot more if you're able to continue growing and continue learning and continue just practicing on this skill all the way in that sense. And honestly, if you can earn more money every single month, then that will bring you a bit closer to getting out of the rat race and getting a bit more freedom. So who doesn't want that, right? So that's what that money is going to lead to in terms of financial freedom. Not thinking too much about, just how much money I can kind of get back immediately from this month or next month in that sense. That is not what we are looking into. The other thing I want you to really push into as well is that of all the side hustles that you're listening to or you're researching and you're finding, I think these 2 things are very important. One is you want to find something that really interests you. So you already have your day job where you're probably working 9 to 5 or whatever it is that you're doing, where you're really pretty tired from that. And when you come back home from work, you don't want to dive into another side hustle where it's just for the money and you don't really like it at all. So definitely don't do it. The second thing you want to do is also you want to find something where there's a market for. So this means that there are customers in order to buy that product or that service that you're offering in that sense. So if you dive into something where nobody wants anything and then you're just setting yourself up for failure. So these 2 things are probably the most important. One is where you have interest, and second is where there's a market for. So what I did was that I found selling customized G-Shock watches, and I found it from this guy called Stevie Sells. So I've mentioned this on my channel multiple times. You can see a lot of the G-Shock watches videos are all on my channel. So I really like the watches and I really found that they were very, very cool and I wanted to wear them in that sense. So I started the G-Shock side hustle, and the worst thing that came to me was that, if I can't sell anything, then who cares, I'll probably just wear them for myself. But since Stevie Sells was also selling it, I was doing research on all the other online platforms as well, and I could see that people are buying and selling these watches every day on eBay. People are selling these watches, so there was proof of concept as well, and then I was also interested in it. So this YouTuber Stevie Sells was making money from it, and I found that those 2 things mitigated my risk the most in that sense, and I would think that it would be the best for you guys as well. So after you've done all your research, then you have to become the side hustle professor. You have to research in depth on that very side hustle that you have chosen. You need to go all the way in depth to see if it can be contextualized to yourself. Yeah, I think that's very, very important, because for me in that sense, a lot of the things that, like, let's say Gary Vee is saying of doing garage selling, retail arbitrage, being able to buy and sell things for a cheap price. I live in Singapore, and a lot of places in Singapore don't offer those kind of things, like Walmart, Target, dollar stores, where you can get things very, very cheap and then sell them online in that sense. It really doesn't really work that well in Singapore in that sense. I've tried it out a couple of times. It doesn't work well. So you have to find if this side hustle can work in your country as well. Don't just go blindly in that sense. So you have to really find and see if there's anyone doing out there. If there are people doing out there, don't worry about it. Having competitors is not a bad thing, because it shows that it is actually working. So it's actually not a bad thing in that sense. One thing that is also important to to note is, as you are going through it, you will always have this point of having this analysis paralysis, because a lot of times you never really know whether a business is actually viable or not. You never know until you really start it. The same thing will go for the side hustle as well, so you have to be careful with it. However, like what we mentioned just now, to mitigate your risk, you must make sure that there's a market for it and you're also interested in it, and probably when it's done before, then that helps to mitigate a lot of that risk in that sense. In my case, I decided on selling custom G-Shock watches, and I watched this guy, like I mentioned just now, Stevie Sells, and he had the exact steps that were thoroughly outlined throughout the video as well. And I also had to go and make sure that I knew how to customize the G-Shock watches, which means that I had to go and find videos in order to help me to think about how to customize the G-Shock watches, you know, those manuals and tutorials on how to learn to do all these things, and then really just go dive into it in that sense. If you're doing something more like graphics design, like thumbnail designing or video editing in that sense, then you probably also have to go and watch like tutorials. Step number 3 would be just like what Nike says, which is to just do it. You probably have gone through the basic steps already, so you know all the resources, you've collected all the research that you had. Now is the time to put it into practice. This is where you have to summon that intense amount of courage to just screw it and then just do it, because second guessing yourself will happen, and it has happened to me so many times that I can't even tell you guys how many times I second guessed myself before I started the G-Shock side hustle. I kept thinking that it would be a failed venture, and so far, I mean, I've been earning money from it every single month, and it was one of the things that I started which got me quite excited and quite interested in doing all these things in the first place. So probably tell you that you, with all your doubts and everything like that, just go ahead with it and execute. Just don't pour in a huge amount of money wanting to succeed at the first time. It's not going to happen that way. Don't give yourself so much pressure to succeed. Basically, just mitigate your risk and choose something that you can start off with low amounts of capital in that sense. So in order to earn money, you probably have to provide like value and a service to someone else, you know, more or less it's in exchange of goods and services for that money in that sense. For example, if you chose video editing or graphics design as your side hustle, you need to start practicing and getting good at it so that someone will pay you for your service. So for example, if I'm starting this YouTube channel, video editing would be something that I will have to do for myself, and I'll have to showcase in that sense, or rather practice every single day or every single week, and make sure that my videos are improving as much as possible, so that when people see my videos on YouTube, it can be my online resume in that sense. And graphics design, same thing, you have to really practice as many thumbnails as possible to make sure that you are as proficient as you can be when you sort of approach people to ask for money in that sense. It probably helps you a little bit in that sense. So in my case, I didn't know how to customize the G-Shock watches. I didn't know where to buy them from as well. So I had to go and source for all the suppliers on Carousel, Facebook Marketplace, AliExpress as well. And I had to go and watch tutorials on how to customize G-Shock watches. I really had to buy those watches, spend those several hours, the first several hours, to learn how to customize the G-Shock watch. I cannot even tell you, the first time I ever customized a G-Shock watch, it probably took me like an hour or two, but now I can do it in under 5 minutes. So the difference is quite big. You really have to get started in order to get good at this kind of skills in that sense. The start is always the most difficult because you don't know what the hell you are doing, but I think it's important to be patient and to really enjoy yourself and have fun along the process in that sense. A lot of us will feel imperfect and have a lot of doubts at the start of learning something, but try to reframe your mindset to think this way instead. The learning curve is usually the steepest at the start because you don't know what you're doing, but at the same time, you make the most progress, the fastest amount of progress as you are learning in that sense from the beginning. So it's a lot like playing a game in that sense. It's very fun to level up your character at the start of the game because you get to unlock new skills, you get to level up so much quicker, and you get to get better at things so very, very quickly. And it can be a very satisfying feeling for you. So that's something that I want you guys to really learn, to have fun and enjoy the process, which is going to be a very, very key factor in doing it in that sense, because you're going to suck at it. So just be prepared and then just have fun. Don't take yourself so seriously in that sense, right? Step number 4 will be you becoming a marketing genius. So once you have enough practice and gotten somewhat decent at your craft, it's time to start earning some money by getting some clients or customers. A good thing as well is also to know when you should be going out to really get these clients. Is that a question you probably ask yourself is, when should you start charging money in that sense? So nobody has the right answer to this, because the truth is that you're probably going to feel inadequate for a very long time, and especially when it's something sus that you learn online, right? A side hustle that you learn from somebody online, you're never going to feel good enough that you want to charge somebody for it in that sense. So I think 1 or 2 days or even a week is not long enough for you to be practicing this skill in that sense. If you follow someone like Alex Hormozi, he says that usually to get decent at a certain thing, you need at least about 20 hours of execution or doing the exact thing and you'll probably be somewhat decent at it. So I'll probably go towards that in that sense. So if you spend an hour a day, probably you will finish it in about 30 days or so to get that 20 hours, assuming you skip a certain few days here and there. But basically you'll be somewhat decent after a whole month. Then after that month itself, you can start off with approaching people, sending them, doing the work for them first. So if let's say you're a thumbnail designer, do a few thumbnails for this YouTuber that you want to, charge money for. Send him or her those thumbnails. See if they, him or her likes it, and then they will reply you and basically pay you in that sense if they like it. So you do the work up front, you take all that risk, they have nothing to lose in that sense. So if they like your work, they are going to hire you. If not, just move on. You can actually keep those thumbnails that you have created under your portfolio. You can keep it on your Instagram, your Photoshop, whatever it is, just document your process in that sense. So that's actually pretty good. A lot of people actually recommend Fiverr, Upwork. These are like freelance websites where you can really put job postings to advertise on your work. But I think this is, to me, I don't feel it's a very, very good idea. So just to preface, I have not done this before. I really don't know whether it is a very, very good idea or not. But it does sound logical to me when some people say that it's a little bit like the race to the end. So in order to get someone to hire you, you basically have to put your services at the lowest point possible because you don't have anything under your belt. So nobody's going to trust that your skills are trustworthy or not. There's nothing to trust. So they would really only pick you if you are the cheapest available or if you are somewhat decently priced in that sense. So I really think you will be undercharged for your value in that sense. So I'll probably be going towards that point of the permissionless apprentice where you just send them your work and they will hire you if they like you in that sense. What I did with my G-Shock business was that I needed to learn how to take decent photos. I needed to edit them on Photoshop, and I also needed to post them on online marketplaces to sell them all. And that is how I marketed my goods, my products, in that sense. Step 5 will be the most important, which is to become like Deadpool. So if you know Deadpool in the movies as well, he has this very aloof attitude where he doesn't care about anything and he doesn't have any expectations in his life because his life is so screwed up. So I don't want to screw your life up, don't get me wrong, but I want you to have no expectations or even expect that everything is going to go wrong from the start. So you're not going to magically start having clients and earn money from day one the moment you start marketing your services in that sense. In my case, the moment I started selling my G-Shock watches, I absolutely no sales for 2 months. So I started learning all those things and it took me a couple weeks and everything, and then when I started selling, 2 months, nothing sold. So I was super disappointed. I spent all the effort. Can you imagine that? I spent all the effort and I had no sales at all, which was quite irritating thing. So having low or no expectations at all is actually a secret weapon for your mindset. You're expecting to fail already, not that you're doing everything with that intention to fail, but knowing that you have no expectations of success at all at the very beginning in that sense. So what I have to do is I had to troubleshoot and come up with ways to get more customers. So I had to post to more online marketplaces, I had to reduce my prices, and I had to do so many things in order to get regular sales every single month for my watches. So I want you to be equipped with that same mindset so that it's not going to go smoothly, but you're going to have fun to solve this puzzle to make sure that you can get monetized and enjoy the process in that sense. Hopefully these 5 steps will be able to help you get off your butt and get started with your very own first side hustle, just like what I did. If you enjoyed this video here, then you'll probably enjoy this video here on how much money I made selling custom G-Shock watches. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next few videos. Bye bye!